This book talks about the complex intricacies of life. The concept of our band, The Wanderers, was created in order to bring some hope, some form of courage, and some form of community back to the world that is literally falling apart. I had this conversation with a brother from another mother, Will. You have seen him in our Wanderers videos, and he's also a multi-talented polymath who has the ability to look at the world from the lens of a hyper-creative person. So Peter Deunov's book, The New Day, that's what I have been reading recently, and it talks about the concept of how to live with a purpose. If I sum it up, there's a lot to unpack. But there's something that's quite interesting as what I have found so far whilst reading this book. And you can see that my brain is still occupied with the amazing thoughts that were planted by not just one philosopher, but a plethora, a mixture of them. But they all come around, whether it's based on theology, theosophy, philosophy, anthropology, archaeology, or even just agnosticism. The Gnostics and the theologians, they all bring this concept of life as we know it together, bring it together, and that merging factor, that anchor, is human connection. And then you build your buildings on top of that anchor, that connection. So that anchor is the humanity, the human factor. And then on top of that, you build your life, and your life can have multiple factions in it. Some people go into business, some people go into corporations, some people go into charity, some people go and create a band like what we did. Some people go and make music. That's what me and Will, we are doing at the minute. Then you have people who will go and create other things, such as a food place where people come together, sit down together, and they exchange the ideas. The concept existed prior to this modern day technology dynamics, or modern day dynamics of this hyper watered down technology influx into our human lives. And I'm talking to you, I'm not a Ledi, I'm talking to you through technology. Without technology, we wouldn't have had this conversation. Where there are some benefits to it, there is a discourse and there is a disconnect with the human element within the humanity itself. So back in the days, people used to go out and talk to people, meet people in person, have meaningful conversations, which had a huge impact on how they perceived each other. We got to care for each other in person. But then technology came and it kind of made life easier, but at the same time, it made this human connection obsolete almost. People are now texting each other rather than talking to each other face to face. Before, you had to physically go out of your comfort zone and meet each other, which created this sense of human connection, because you are coming into each other's resonance frequency. Your heart is beating, it's creating a beat, it's creating a rhythm, it's creating emotion, then which shows on your face, your eyes, your micro expressions, the way you smile, the way you frown, the way you dislike something. Those connections were the core ingredient, or the most valuable ingredients in the human dynamics. If you take this out, it becomes all monotonous, lifeless, soulless, which created this monster that we called isolation. And isolation had this huge impact on a lot of younger people prior to COVID, not during COVID. COVID was horrible, but prior to COVID, lockdowns. And it created this sense of helplessness, hopelessness, no direction, no sense of direction. And music became the bounding binding force. Hence, we have bands like Linkin Park or Audioslave or Soundgarden or Rage Against the Machine or Korn, etc. These musicians were bringing people together using words and frequencies. Same thing. You bring these two things together, create something which is more powerful, like a story, and that story goes out there to help someone who is in the dire need. This is why we've created the band, The Wanderers. That's the spark of The Wanderers. And Wanderers is not just a musical band like you see on any commercial radio network. We have nothing to do with that kind of mindset or market. The whole point is to bring people together, whether it's just sitting down in the park playing music that helps another person get out of that dark zone, or someone who is out there struggling to find a community, a chain, a blockchain. That's what I call it, a blockchain of like-minded humans. Like-minded doesn't mean that you exactly have to share the same hobbies, the same language, the same skin tone, the same beliefs, but something that has similar spark, an essence that you can gel with, communicate with. And that's what became the core ingredient which led us to create The Wanderers. And as wanderers, we are on this planet, are all wanderers. We are the wanderers. It doesn't matter where you are. As human beings, we are wandering, from the womb of your mother till you go to the grave. You are literally wandering on this plane, and you will remember the communications you've had. The reason I'm telling you with a smile is because I've sat down with a lot of people who were on their final journey, and they always cherished the memories they have created. They loved the last moments they have spent with their loved ones, and also they remember all the great connections they've had. Never I heard one who said, I wish I had spent more time in my shifts, or I wish I had resented that person. No, they all said the same thing. It's a crossover. It doesn't matter which country, which culture, which language you speak or come from. Everything comes down to one boiling pot, and that is, I wish I had made more connection. I wish I had seen more of this world. And the way you see more of this world is through finding the right people to share and care for and creating memories. And that's what it was. And that's what it is. And that's what it will be. And that's why I'm saying it. From my observation, the way the stories are being told these days, including the way Will is doing it from his Billie Holiday production. I will leave the link of his new projects in the description. But if you look at it, he's talking about the exact same thing, what the prophets talked about, what the sages spoke about, what these great saints spoke about, the great kings spoke about, the wandering monks spoke about, the temple priests spoke about, the imams talked about, musicians talked about, and almost every single philosopher / scientist spoke about. Yep. We all remember the story of Einstein. We all remember the story of Isaac Newton. The stories became the cornerstone for the most advanced discoveries in the field of science, which is kind of dry. Science is dry. It's the same thing. It's exactly the stories that we remember, and those stories will lead the individual, as we know, Newton, Einstein, towards the glory in order to create something that will help the humanity in a way to progress as a collective society. So yeah, that's what Peter Deunov talked about. I'm going to be putting clips of his writings into this series. So I hope you're going to enjoy it and go make some memories. Adios. Forward. This booklet, The New Day, first published in Bulgarian in 1940, was like a clarion message for the coming epoch of love that will totally transform the world and humankind. Further to its historical importance, the ideas and directions that it contains are still actual today and of great practical value. Reviewing the forces that are at work in nature, pressure and tension, and their effect on the human being. It shows the best way for their balancing so that one can release all sufferings and have positive achievements in life. The author, Peter Deunov. The names of the master are given according to the currently used European ISO 9 system for transliteration of the Cyrillic characters into Latin ones. The same names are written differently in other publications and references. Pensa Duno, Peter Deunov, Dunov. So, the author Peter Deunov, known by his spiritual name Pensa Duno, not only presented the eternal truths in their purest and simplest form, but also gave in his word new perspectives, new methods and practices for the coming cosmic spring of soul blossoming. Here is his call to the souls who are waiting for this. That which you long for is coming. That which you cherish in your souls is the reality of tomorrow. Come into the land of eternal spring. Come into the land of eternal rejuvenation. Come into the land of eternal rejuvenation. Come into the land of joy. Come into the land of love. It is so close to you. There is no illness or death in that land. Come and receive the treasures which belong to you. Come into the land where you will find those who know you and those whom you know. Sacred words of the Master, a call to the disciples, Sunrise Publishing Co. Incorporated 1940. The Master, as he is regarded by his followers, set the foundations of a new life based on applying the universal principles of love, wisdom, truth, justice, and good, with the leading and uniting role of love, the greatest power in the universe. As he said, I have come to reveal love, bringing love to earth. That is my mission. He also recommended, study my talks and lectures to speed up your evolution. The Master delivered orally and spontaneously around 4,000 talks and lectures, which were written in shorthand by his students, stenographers. Afterwards, when possible, they were decoded, presented to the Master for approval, and published. In this way, about 1/3 of the word was published at the time of its delivery and has the greatest authenticity, a special place among the then published